Thanks. Thanks for your patience, guys. We're just getting all the streamers going.
Awesome. All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Manifest 2023 Community Manifesting Marathon. I'm joined here by Lee, who does quantum shifting among many things. She's been absolutely instrumental in my awakening journey and the exploration of consciousness through the numerous modalities she offers in all of her programs, which we'll talk more about later. But she definitely has a deep understanding on manifestation and the energy necessary to create. So without further ado, Lee, would you like to say a bit about yourself and how you came on a journey of learning anything about manifesting?
Sure. So as everyone knows, I'm Lee, or my social handles are Quantum Shift with Lee. I do predominantly light language, musical light language, and quantum exploration sessions, I like to call them lately. Usually we refer to them as hypnosis, but for me it kind of feels like it's more of a dehypnotization right now, tapping into those beautiful theta waves and gamma waves that we enter when we are in a relaxed state from a subconscious mind, or from a conscious mind perspective. So yeah, this is pretty much what I do. Light language from the manifestation aspect of things. I guess how I got into all of this is just by focusing on doing what I really like to do, and pretty much quit my job.
So let's talk about that statement. You said focusing on what you really like to do.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that specifically and how that energy relates to successful manifestations? We're gonna dive deep into some of the key points that you mentioned beforehand that you wanted to talk about manifestation, but unpack that one because that was deep. There's a lot there. Just doing what you want to do or what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, well, for me, it is just kind of like, it's all about the frequency, I guess. And when you do what you love, then you automatically put yourself in the frequency of enjoyment, excitement. And when you're in that frequency, you manifest quicker and you start creating things that you never knew you can create. Like you've seen on my channels. So if you go back onto my TikTok channel, you'll have quite a bit of a laugh because as I started off doing what I love, I literally started off doing absolutely everything that I loved. And there are videos on my TikTok channel from cooking to doing tarot card readings or oracle card readings. There are videos on there from just talking about hypnosis, and then here and there's a little like short frequency when I just started tapping into my light language, putting it actually in the public domain. I've been speaking it pretty much my whole life, but I only started doing it publicly about 7 or 8 months ago. And yeah, so pretty much what I'm talking about is it's creating that frequency of where you find your excitement and your joy, and where you just feel that you're doing what is good for you. So It took me a little while to find what they call my niche. But pretty much that is what I did. Is I studied the hypnotherapy quite a while back, QHHD a couple years back. And I just reached the point where I was still working as a paramedic, doing 14 to 16-hour shifts a day, 5 to 6 days a week. where I just couldn't do that anymore. I just wanted to focus on what I loved. And I literally just did that, just focused on what I loved. And I guess that put me in the frequency of that alignment towards what I love to do. And then manifesting, the things that I've been manifesting. So every day is still a learning curve, part of the journey, but it is wonderful to be in a space where I can start talking about it and sharing it with people, and where we can kind of walk each other home and just be on the journey together. Because on this journey, I met you, I met so many of my soul family, and it just brings you into that really deepest desires that you've always had. I feel.
Yeah. So why did you say walking each other home? And how does that energy, because there's a lot to unpack there in just those words, but a lot of times in this whole journey of awakening, rather than looking at it as waking people up or looking at it as maybe trying to help people expand their consciousness, but rather look at it as walking people home. We're all helping each other on that journey, whether we know it or not, being part of each other's lives while we walk home into our wholeness. But relate that, the energy of that inclusivity of everyone, as we literally do walk each other into our wholeness and home. How do you see that energy? What's the relational dynamic between that energy of the unity consciousness and seeing that we're all one, moving towards a harmonized state of being, home, you might call it, that whole state of being? How does that relate to the energy of creation and manifestation? Because one of the things that I see is, as you move more into harmonized reality with yourself and others, and as you take the burdens off of yourself for others and the burdens off of others for you, and recognize that there's a lot more synergy happening when we're all moving towards a common goal, we're all moving towards that home, and how can we help each other embody that and live that out more? So walking each other home. But I see a lot of energetic relationships between that energy of community and the energy of realizing or actualizing any dream into the world.
Yeah, I agree.
So what do you see in those relational dynamics, if you don't mind to unpack it?
Sure. Well, that sentence kind of came to me, I guess, through the many years of trying to, or finding what it is that I really, really desire. And that was to just kind of, like the 4 pillars that you always talk about of the reality creation process, just living that life you love. As you're aware, I used to have quite a bit of a illness that wasn't treated or being able to be treated by Western medicine. So being healthy and vital, therefore, is the other pillar in, and just stepping into that power, which is that creative force, being that creative force of my life. And during that journey, I was actually reading the book, A Course in Miracles. I've spoken to you about this book before. And this book gave me the understanding that our external, most intimate reality, I would say, including the collective reality, is pretty much a projection from our internal reality. So whatever is, within, so you experience without. Now I'm talking about your most immediate reality as well. That is more relevant to each individual. Collectively, we do have a reality that we share as well. But with the intimate reality, I would say everyone that you encounter in your reality is an aspect of something within you, or something within you communicating to you. So when I talk about walking each other home, I started seeing my external reality as aspects of me that is representative of something within me. And each of those aspects has its own sovereignty and consciousness as well, and its ability to also step into its own power, And so when I say walking each other home, it is kind of like allowing that aspect of me, giving it that unconditional love that it deserves to be what it is, but also knowing how powerful that aspect of me is to become part of the creatorship of this entire either intimate reality or collective reality that we share. Does that make sense?
Yes. Allowing each part of yourself, as reflected both in the internal and the external world, to be fully autonomous, to make its own, to have its own sovereignty. Recognizing that it is part of the creative function, whether or not it's currently acting in that capacity is another story, but recognizing that it has that, and basically you're setting up both the internal parts of you and everything in your external reality for a certain level of success and freedom by taking the chains off of what's possible, and leaving the door open to a certain extent. So I wanted to dive into some of the things that you had mentioned before we got on here, in regards to the meaning of manifestation. And someone had also asked about to have an explanation of the theory behind manifestation. So briefly, can you unpack, what your theory of manifestation is? Like, what are the steps you see in place that take place in order for manifestation to occur? Like the key ingredients, if you will. And then what meaning there is in manifestation to you?
Sure. So I would say the key ingredients to manifestation is definitely emotion. That is a big one. Aligning yourself with that emotion that you truly want to feel or desire, but also acknowledging the emotion that you're currently feeling at the same time. So once again, returning that autonomy to that aspect of yourself to become that creative part within yourself or along with you. So I would say emotion is a really, really, really big part of manifestation, because when we manifest things in our lives, it is, with regards to how we're feeling. If we are in a state of, lack and this disappointment, grief, or whatever emotion we might call, is like a undesirable emotion, we kind of find ourselves stuck in that position where we then don't necessarily create what we want. So I would say emotion is one of the biggest things for me with regards to manifestation. Also,
so before you go on to some of the other things, I wanted to comment on the emotion.
sure.
And so in talking about emotion, having a sense of, I don't know if control is the right word, but having a sense of control over the vibration of the emotion and what happens with it. Because obviously you can have an emotion and it can be counterintuitive to what you are attempting to achieve. Something comes in and triggers an emotion or causes an emotional response. But having the presence and the wherewithal to hold that vibration within you before just letting it fly, and determining what you want to do with that emotion and how you want to process that emotion and where you want that, because emotion is just energy in motion. So how and where you want that energy in motion to go, because where energy flows, awareness goes, or where awareness goes, energy flows, and that's what grows. So if the energy and the directing of the energy is what determines the directing of that energy, that emotional flow, is what determines what gets created. Then having a sense of control over where that's going, rather than the external world, other people, something else, being able to just reach in and take over your emotional energy. And then you're feeling an emotion, you'll get all worked up in emotions that maybe you didn't want to be there in that energy in the first place. And yet you find yourself there because someone else had that control and you didn't. So would you say that's a key aspect of being able to regulate the emotional energy and channel it into something constructive that's in alignment with what you're creating?
Yeah, I would absolutely say that, because it's essentially the energy in motion. So if you are, say, in a excited state, this is where you find your, inspired action to do what it is that you want to, create. If you find yourself in sadness, then you find yourself kind of like in that internal feeling of, I just want to be sad, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really think about manifestation when you are in those kinds of emotions. But when you have those kinds of emotions, I do feel that it is a great canvas to start manifesting from. Because one thing that I have learned during the process of becoming healthy and creating this experience that I have right now is definitely when you find yourself in that emotion of sadness or guilt or depression, to allow it to be fully experienced, because essentially that emotion is coming up to be experienced, because it is something within you that wants to be acknowledged. So it's completely valid. It's a completely valid experience. Why am I feeling sad? Why am I feeling sad? It's because that sadness wants to be elevated into that creator aspect of you. So that sadness is actually your canvas to create from. So this is how I did it in the last few years. Is whenever I find I've been through quite a few shady moments, like I call them shady moments right now, not even dark night of the soul anymore, because dark night is it brings the feeling of something wrong, like my good friend has spoken about before, Vera, is these what we call dark night of the soul. We should start seeing it as shade of a tree, sitting in the shade and then recharging yourself. This is an opportunity where you can sit back, where you can reevaluate, recreate, take that blank canvas now and start painting a new picture. So for me, whenever
I like the concept of shade, because shade, in dark night of the soul, it sounds scary, and it is scary. But if you look at it as, like you're saying, a place for rest and reflection, then the shade is a time to take a break while you figure out, and you get to see what you're going to be working on next. Exactly.
And I believe you also duetted that video of her.
Yes, I believe I did. Yeah.
So it was, for me, I started seeing the emotions that we usually view as something bad as actually an opportunity to create from, to manifest from. And, and when you see it like that, that is when you can start seeing how valuable each and every experience is that you're having in every moment, and how everything is a part of your manifestation and journey. It is, when you start viewing those experiences that are coming from within you, that you're experiencing without, as also that sovereign creator, just like I explained, is everybody else around you. this is where you can start co-creating with these aspects within you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. The
Yeah,
co-creation
yeah,
of the internal parts of self.
yeah, exactly. Then this is where, like, I've made a video before about letting in instead of letting go.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always saying, that we want to get rid of something, or this doesn't serve me, I don't want it, I want to fix it. But like, you also teach in your beautiful course, the reality creation process, is that, you have to call these parts home, you have to bring them in. Because when you do, this is where you can change the frequency. This is where they become the co-creator, and then you elevate the frequency, say from self-doubt into self-confidence. You transcend that emotion. You take that energy and motion, and you bring it into the frequency of the emotion that you most desire, because it becomes part of you, part of your desires, and your wants and needs in your reality. That makes sense.
Exactly. So talk about the relationship between, because what we're talking about serves two functions. When you take something that is in one vibration, I'm not worthy vibration, or I'm not good enough, and you flip it over to the I am good enough, I am worthy vibration, and you make that transmutation occur. There's two things that happen. One is an immense amount of healing for all the things that reinforce the negative belief, the negative vibration, and all of the things that were manifested into your life as a result of that programming of that negative vibration. So keep in mind that sometimes when we experience things in early life that set ourselves up with negative pattern programming, and then the negative pattern programming dictates what comes into your life going forward. This is why people experience that loop of, they go through one relationship or experience in life, and then they're repeating it, the same energy, same things playing out, different people, different situations. And so when we flip that and you make that transmutation, you're opening the door to manifest the thing that you do want instead.
Yeah.
But you're also healing the traumas that happened.
Exactly.
So there's a very deep relationship between healing and manifestation, or what we would call healing. I don't even like to call it healing, but that's another topic. We can dissect words in a minute. But healing is the word the general collective is currently the most acquainted with for this type of work. So what insights do you have into just the tight-knit relationship there between healing and manifestation and healing? It's like, if you do one, you're doing the other. And unpack that for a minute.
Yeah, so I think there's a really big relationship between the two, because essentially, we are here to remember who we are. We are here to be creators, and embody that highest version of who we are. And when you work with your energy, and your energy, do you guys hear the thunder? It's nice.
Oh, wow, that's thunder. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, so if you work with your energy, everything is your energy, all your emotions, good or bad, happy, sad, everything is part of your energy. If you work with your energy, that is when you allow your energy to flow. And when you allow your energy to flow, that is when you create that beautiful, ever-present motion that we are. And doing that automatically creates a representation of what we would call wholeness. Like A Course in Miracles refer to it as you then start to experience the image representations that are closest to the truth of what you are. So
Can you repeat that?
When you start to flow with your energy, you start to experience the image representations that is closest to the truth of what you are. So
That's
essentially,
beautiful.
yes. So essentially, if you think about it, we are not the story. We are the energy in motion. And the story comes from the energy in motion. So everything that we are seeing around us is just an image. Yes, we experience it as something really, really real, really solid, and really real. But in the bigger perspective, it is all moments of different images that we are experiencing, because in the true sense, everything is non-dual. Our spirit is non-dual. It is unconditional. There is no opposite. It is always, there is no time.
Mm-hmm.
But here we're experiencing pictures every day, events, experiences every day. And that is the image representations of your internal state. So if you're experiencing, say, like, for example, think something that has happened to me, you twist your ankle. That is an image representation of an injury to your foot. You twisted your ankle. And what that means is that representative image shows you a message of what is going on with your internal state. So when I twisted my ankle, I was in a state of indecisiveness, you see. And now I didn't know which direction to go. So automatically the body is showing me, you're not making any decisions. Let's put you at rest. This is again that tower moment, or that shade that you sit in under the tree. Let's give you a period of rest so you can slow down and make the choices that is most relevant to you. And those choices goes hand in hand with what your manifestation is. And then also the healing of that ankle. You see?
So
it all lines up.
Using or looking at the external reality as, to an extent, a feedback mechanism that's going to show you physical, tangible evidence, if you will, of the internal alignment of something else, which could be, as in your case, you were lingering in an energy of indecisiveness and you sat in this energy too long. And so this materialized into your physical reality through the ankle. Yeah. Now, I see this. I see this quite often, and I'm going to share an example, a pretty casual example. I've shared it with you before, Lee, I believe, but it's the example of traffic and drivers on a freeway. Something in my internal state of being and my perceptual alignment towards freeway traffic, aligning myself into the idea that freeway traffic is full of drivers that are angry and lots of road rage and just assholes on the road. And when I was learning the reality creation process, I came to, what's that? You got thunder going on in the background?
Sorry for the noise.
Storm outside. Yeah.
No, that's all right. I can barely hear it.
I just switched to my AirPods. I just switched to the AirPods just so that maybe to isolate the sound a bit.
Okay. Yeah, you do sound.
Continue.
You do sound a little better.
I did. Yeah.
Awesome. So in the example of this situation with traffic, what I discovered was that inside me there was a certain amount of chaos, and I became aware when I reinforced, something happened on the drive, and it reinforced, that negative experience of being on the freeway with a bunch of other idiot drivers. And I reacted to it, and I went, wait a second, I'm just feeding that feedback loop of this negative experience. Let's alchemize it instead. Let's make an alignment. So I aligned my energy with the idea that the roadways are filled with courteous, safe, skilled drivers, and I'm surrounded by those ones. And it was immediately, I noticed a massive shift in the experience of driving on the road, highlighted by 3 very obvious situations of a very positive, nice, skilled driver doing something that helped me get to where I needed to go. He let me over, someone let me out at a red light, just nice things. So what's happening in that example is not so much that I changed anything with the outside world. I changed the resonant energy of something within me that was matching that negative vibration in the external world. And when I did that, it changed the relational dynamic. It didn't change how many good or bad drivers are in the world. It just changed my energetic relational dynamic to them, shifting me into equivalent vibration with being surrounded with positive drivers on the road. And so that's an interesting thing to note about manifestation, is it's less about creating anything and more about aligning yourself with which of the infinite possibilities are there. I mean, there's a lot of drivers on the road. There's good ones and bad ones.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag of apples, but I can align myself with a more positive experience and change the relational dynamic. So I look at almost everything in the universe through the lens of relational dynamics. What's the relationship between this part of the universe and that part of the universe? And if this isn't playing well together, then where can we make an adjustment so that they are playing well together?
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
It's so beautiful when you begin to see that that's all everything is. And if you can then have and this is where meditation becomes such a great tool. Anything that slows down the mind enough to get an inside look at, okay, what in me is creating opportunity for this experience in my life to come to me? What's creating the potential for there to be a relational dynamic between this situation and me? And a lot of times, if you think about that, you can begin to see where your energy is creating these opportunities or bringing you the ones you don't want or bringing you the ones you do want. And you begin to see this and you begin to for me, the experience is very much like tuning. It's like focusing in. And you begin to tweak and you go, oh, well, this isn't quite what I want. And this isn't quite what I want. So you begin to make these little adjustments. And, you do this for a few years and life is nothing like it was once before.
Exactly. Yeah. It's constantly tuning the dial, shifting your reality and, shifting the internal frequency shifts the reality.
Yeah. So then can you share some modalities and methods that you've used for quantum shifting? Because quantum shifting directly relates into manifestation as well, or quantum shifting or manifesting, whatever you want to call it. But I think that they're not quite the same thing, and yet they are. Quantum shifting being a more extreme version of changing the relational dynamic between you and the universe, because you may be shifting timelines, you may be shifting, but you can shift a lot of things, as you've said. We're shifting everything in quantum. So unpack that relationship.
I would say quantum shifting is the frequency of alignment, where manifestation is the frequency of creating. So it's two different frequencies, but it works hand in hand.
Because when you align, something gets created.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So quantum shifting is a layer beneath, if you will.
If
The
you want to be
manifestation,
really,
which
if you
if
want
you
to be
just look at the word
human,
manifestation, it means to bring into actual like experiential reality. So
yes.
the
So
alignment happens first.
Yeah. So I would say quantum shifting is the frequency of alignment. So you're recognizing this harmony or this resonance or whatever within your, maybe the sign comes through your external reality because you're not being in your awareness with regards to something specific, or you're not acknowledging something within you. That's when it comes through your external reality. But I would say the alignment comes from then, transcending a specific emotion into a frequency that you more desire. And then from that frequency comes things like Manifest 2023, which is a manifestation. It's a unique idea. It is something that is not anywhere else. It is something that is here now on this live for the next 30 to 45 days. It didn't exist a month ago. And that's this Manifest 2023 unique idea that you came up with. You were probably sitting in a beautiful reflection state when it just came to you. You see, and in that
exactly right.
in those reflection states, this is what is that beautiful space of resting and allowing and being in awareness of your energy. And then when you're in awareness of your energy, you become in the awareness of what is it that you need to align, what does it need that you want to quantum shift. And sometimes it happens so spontaneously and automatically we don't even realize it consciously, but then boom, you have this amazing idea, and here we are living it out.
Which I want to share the story of how that idea happened, because
yes, please do.
We had just finished the Sedona summit, and we had gone down to Baja California for another 5 days of spiritual energy work and grid work with a few of the people that wanted to road trip after the summit. They had some extra time, and we were down here for a good week, and then we went back to Sedona, and this is like where it all started happening. Went back to Sedona for another week, just the third week in the region, and right at the end of that, I'd come back here for Thanksgiving. So as this was all happening, I'm on the road, I'm traveling, and I'm meeting a bunch of amazing people, and I'm having all these conversations. And we just finished that summit with 20 to 30 people that just killed it when it came to manifestation and aligning consciousness and just going deep into this work of creation and healing and taking consciousness to another level. So I'm very, very elevated after all this. And it's Thanksgiving night or the night before Thanksgiving, I'm not sure, but it's right there around Thanksgiving. And I did a meditation, and I was just literally sitting right here where I am right now and just relaxed. And I think the sun was coming through that window as well, like it is right now, very, very bright. And I like to sit right over here and meditate while the sun goes through the afternoon side of the sky. And so I was just sitting over there enjoying the sun. And my guides, they come in and talk to me on a regular basis all the time. So they start coming in and they're like, Manifest 2023. I'm like, okay, what are we creating? And they're like, no, Manifest 2023. you're going to talk to like everybody you know that has insight into this subject about manifestation, and you're going to start like right now. And they started showing me, just like they showed me this graphic that's behind us, and they gave me the template. They're like, Zoom calls, this is how you do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I didn't even have the whole like picture mapped out, and it's continued to grow because they're showing me the further steps of this manifestation. But one of the first things they started showing me was, okay, look, you have so many people in your network that know all this information that can change a lot of people's lives. You need to get them all talking. And I'm like, oh, okay. So there's like the mission behind this is to create that community conversation, because that's where lives get transformed. And so sometimes I get ideas, or I create ideas, and then it takes me a while to actually go do them. And then sometimes the really good ideas that manifest overnight are ideas that come in and I just do them. Like they show up and they happen. And so by the time that night was over, everyone knew about Manifest 2023. And I'd sent this out to all the people that are invited to be part of it. Published some TikToks about it, and got it all done in like a couple of hours. Even built the landing page on the website. So it was just really, really incredible. Because when the aligned vision comes in, that's aligned with the energy that you're sitting in, like you said, I was sitting in quiet reflection, which is exactly where I was. And then the good idea comes in. And I think that the good ideas, let's talk about good ideas for a minute. I think that the good ideas are a huge part of manifestation. A lot of people think they want to create something, and they have an idea of what they think they want to manifest, and they get stuck up on manifesting that exact thing. So let's talk about when you're manifesting, how do you decide what to manifest? Because what I'm getting at is, so many of us, we think we know what we want to manifest that, and then we put all our energy into it, and one of two things happen. Either we successfully manifest it and we get there and we're like, well, shit, that wasn't necessarily what we wanted. That's not giving us the fulfillment we thought it was going to, but now we're here. Now I have this thing I created. Now I got to probably take care of that thing. Talking to myself after I created multiple businesses, and then you got to take care of them. Not all of them being in alignment with what I wanted to create, but boy, was it what I thought I wanted to create. The other thing that happens is you can't create it because it's too far outside of what you think you want is too far outside of the alignment of who you really are, so that the energy you're trying to put into creating it is just going down the drain. It can't actually materialize because it's outside of what I call your trajectory, your soul's path. And if you're trying to create something that's outside of your soul's path, you're just literally throwing all your energy down the drain. It can't materialize. So the good ideas, being in that state of reflection, being in that state of inner peace, learning to get a hold of your own energy and bring it back from all of the scattering things that pull us into all these different directions of things we think we want to create, and putting it all in one place where we can reflect on it, and it's just your energy. That frees up the potential in the mind to give you the good ideas. But you have to break away from all of the thoughts other people have about what you should do, and all the thoughts you had about what you should do, and just bring all the energy, all your awareness home for a few minutes and just sit with it.
That comes down to what we talked about earlier as well. You don't necessarily just use the bad emotions to create. Imagine what you can create when you're sitting in that flow of your energy, which we call that excitement or joy. Because those moments of reflection, like you had, you said you were in a really like high high frequency state after being at the summit, and
it was really elevated, and then I was sitting doing nothing, not trying to do anything with that elevated energy. And that's
Yeah.
when Manifest
That's-
2023 came to be.
That's what I would call the state where you actually manifest. So that is creating something new, something that didn't exist, where most of everything else we're experiencing is more of an alignment. So if you say, want to go on that holiday to that specific place, but you don't know how to get there, you are aligning yourself to go on to that holiday because it already exists. You see, going, that place already exists. You don't need to manifest the holiday. You're aligning to it.
So you're manifesting, what you're
this-
actually manifesting is the synchronicity to create the bridge for you to go from here to there.
Yeah,
The
that's a good
opportunity.
way of putting it. Yeah.
So once again, this cycles back to what I was talking about relational dynamic, is you're aligning the relationship between that holiday at that location,
Yeah.
and yourself. You're aligning that relationship so that there's a bridge, and you're adjusting the energy, increasing the likeliness of that opportunity having a bridge that you can take.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's almost like it's a very different frequency. Like what you have created here in Manifest 2023, it's a new creation, you see. But going on that holiday is a frequency that you align to because it already exists. So it's almost like thinking about tuning in, when you go into radio station, you're tuning into the holiday radio station because you're aligning to it. But like when you create something new, you discover some sort of SETI call on the radio station that wasn't there forever, like it's a new frequency. It's a different frequency that you tune into. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why I love in the reality creation process, I love to present this as the angle and creative perception and alignment, because it literally is just, where is your perception angled? What are you focused on? And that's what comes into the experience. And so we've been talking about manifesting synchronicity, manifesting opportunity, or versus manifesting something completely new. But then look at micro manifestation, and maybe you have some examples of micro manifestation. And what I mean by micro manifestation is the moment to moment stuff. It's like every single moment you're literally manifesting the next moment of experience. And give you one example for everyone watching this. You've made the choices to be here watching this now, whether you're live or later. And you could manifest a different experience of reality where you shut this presentation off and you go do something else at any moment. Now, please don't do that. Stay here because this is good. But you could manifest something completely new in any given moment by changing your perceptions, changing your choice, changing what you're choosing to put in front of you. Right now, it's either your TV, your laptop, or your phone because you're watching this. But you could change it and go outside or play with your dog or whatever it is you could do. Okay. Each and every moment, we manifest the next moment by choosing whether or not we're going to move our perceptions again. And if we just leave them be, we're going to continue to experience what's been happening on repeat, subject to the control of whoever was doing that thing. And you can look at this in life of big scale or small scale. Small scale is, we're here watching this show, and if you don't do something to change it, you're going to keep watching me and Lee talk. But if you do something to change it, then you're going to get a new reality, a different possible variant of what you could be doing. The significant changes between those can get bigger and bigger depending on what the nature of the choice is. But I think this goes for the entirety of reality, that moment to moment, we're determining it. And to a large extent, that determination is being done automatically by parts of our consciousness that we've aligned and told to handle things for us. Like your visual systems handle the manifestation of the visual experience of reality for you automatically based on the alignment of, where you're looking. The body handles the manifestation of the physical sensations based on the manifestation of where you put the body, where you align the body with. So it's always where you put it. So you put your eyes in a certain place, you're going to see there. You put your ears in a certain place, you're going to hear that environment. You put your body in a certain place, you're going to feel that environment. But the body is taking care of all the physical manifestations. Eyes are taking care of the visual manifestation. The ears are taking care of that. So the emotions are taking care of the energetic experience, the emotional systems, just like the eyes are doing the visual systems. So the energetic and the emotional and the spiritual and the other layers of the human consciousness are taking care of these other aspects as well. And all of these together determine the collective entire experience. And we're not involved in probably 95% of the parts of ourself. Like, you don't get involved in how your feet cells feel the floor. They just do it, right? Right? You don't get involved in it. And you have to do it flawlessly, moment to moment to moment. But at a grand scale, every moment, your perceptions are you're making a great deal of perceptual choices, both that you are aware of and that you are not aware of. And the biggest ones you have control of are obviously the ones you're aware of. The ones you're not aware of are just simply happening. And if they happen to be happening in a way that's not aligned with the experience you really want, then you have what we would call a shitty life. Negative experiences. Crap goes wrong all the time.
Yeah.
So then, how important is it, Lee, to be able to become aware of the method or the system or the alignment within ourself that is creating every part of our reality?
Can you just repeat? Just repeat the question?
Sure. How
You broke
important
up
is
slightly.
it? How important is it to become, or to have a way to become aware of what within you is creating the alignment with every part of reality? So basically, to have a way to be able to go and look at anything that's happening in reality and determine for that part of reality what within you is creating the alignment that's generating that experience. Is it important to have a tool that does that?
Well, I would say with your immediate, intimate reality, yes, I would say it would be important to be in the awareness of what it,
Now, this doesn't mean you're always
analyzing
analyzing out every
No.
detail, because if you're analyzing your reality all the time, it's going to suck. But when necessary, to be able to pick up any situation or any part of your reality, look at it and figure out what alignment within you is matching.
There is a way where you don't have to figure it out, where you can simply flow with your energy. And this comes back to a question that we had in one of our surrogacy sessions on manifestation and also meditation at the same time. That's where they come hand in hand as well. So yes, meditation is a very, very cool practice, a good practice, because it's a moment of reflection, like what you had when you created Manifest 2023. But manifestation comes from every moment, like you just said, moment to moment. And you can be in that moment to moment reflection in every single moment, because every single moment that you experience can be a meditation, which is then a manifestation. Do you see? That is when you are, see, the voice changes. It's always like that. So when you are in that flow of your energy and you make your day a meditation, imagine what you can manifest from there. That is the importance I would feel, is to be in awareness of your energy, if that makes sense. That is how I would say that you create your immediate reality or environment around you and experiences that you have. Because if you make every moment like that, just imagine the bliss that you'll be in as well. And it's very rare to find yourself there, but it's very easy to put yourself into that reflective state as well to manifest and bring in that importance.
What tools do you use to put yourself or to help people step into that state?
This, I don't know if you can see it.
The water?
Cup of coffee, cup of coffee,
all right.
Cup of tea, your bottle of water. So if you want to put yourself in a moment-to-moment reflective state, is put yourself in the moment that you're experiencing what you're experiencing in that moment. So you can take something as simple as a cup of tea. And when you have your tea, notice everything about it. Notice the steam as you pour the water into the cup. Notice the smell. Bring all your senses into the experience. Notice the smell. Notice the temperature. Notice the taste. How does it feel when you taste that fluid? How do you feel? See, there comes the emotion again. What does it feel like to just sit there and actually be in the moment with that cup of tea, you see? And like you said, we're not always in awareness of the floor underneath our feet. Why don't you put yourself in a space where you become aware of that? That is putting yourself in a moment-to-moment meditation in everything that you're doing. And you can do that in everything in your reality. And sometimes, you find yourself like, I can't focus on doing all of this anymore, on what I'm doing right now. But that's when you find yourself back in reflection and awareness as well. How aware are you of your energy? How aware are you of touch, of feeling, of taste, smell, audio? What do you hear? What do you see? Do you see the steam moving? Do you see everything around us in our reality is a meditation? And when you enter that meditation and reflective state, this is where you get these, oh my gosh, how many times have I told you, Josiah? Usually when I create something, it's when I'm making my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember I've told you this before?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be busy making my cup of tea. It's because I have gone into that experience. I've become aware of that experience. Making my cup of tea, noticing it, seeing, connecting with all aspects of it. And then the next
You've made that an
moment,
anchor point for pulling you into that reflective
creatorship.
energy.
The next moment, I find myself sitting in front of my microphone, creating a new frequency. Or creating a new video. And that's exactly what happened with my last video as well. I was literally just chilling out, having my cup of tea, stroking my cat, feeling the softness of her fur, looking at how she enjoys the feeling, and then there we go. Oh, I'm going to record tonight. And there you go. Video ideas,
Mm-hmm.
This is how they come to be. And this is exactly what you created in your moment of reflection, just in a different form. And this is why I posted that video the other day on what the collective higher self said about meditation. Meditation is in every moment. You don't necessarily have to go sit down and reflect, cross-legged and try and get, filter out your thoughts. You don't have to do that. You can take what's right in front of you and make it a meditation, and that will create some sort of alignment or manifestation.
But just becoming more aware of the subtle details and immersing yourself into that present moment in reality.
Yeah.
So what you've referred to there is something that I've often referred to as being all in on what's happening right now, all in on whatever it is you're doing right now. And if you can put all of your mind in something, regardless what it is, you give more justice to that thing that you're doing. If it's talking to a person, be all in on observing and focusing and talking to that person. If you're working on a project, be all in on it. Whatever it is you're doing is going to be better. But B, you begin to access the state you're talking about while you're doing all the things. Whether it be work, whether it be talking to a partner, whether it be relationships, business, whatever it is, you expand the capacity for what it is that you're doing to include something greater, something bigger than what you might reduce it to. So, in the example of pouring a cup of tea, it could just be pouring a cup of tea while you go off to then do something else. Something you get done as an intermediary step. Or you can immerse yourself in it and create the opportunity for that experience to become something greater than just pouring a cup of tea.
Yeah, because you see, the reason I feel it is really valuable, just being with your cup of tea, or just being with the bath you're having, or just being with your cat or your dog in that moment, is because we are always constantly thinking about what's next. And when we're thinking about what's next, we are actually putting ourselves back into the past, because we're putting ourselves out of the, you see. So we're putting ourselves, what's next, but then we create from the past, and this is why it doesn't realize. So when you bring yourself back into that moment, with the simplest thing that you can find, just picking up this thing and, feeling the texture, brings you back into that 0 point, which is the now moment or the present. And this is where magic happens,
Is that why so many people find benefit from fidgeting with objects that are sensory? They create some kind of sensory enjoyment.
Yeah, I would say yes.
For example, I got a little crystal here I've been playing with. I got 3 of them on this table, and I pick them up and play with them while we're talking. That grounding effect. So interesting. Yeah,
so this comes down to one of the topics that I also wanted to or 2 of the topics I actually wanted to discuss, and that is polarity manifestation and neutral manifestation. So this is a very, very interesting topic that we came across in one of the collective higher self sessions that I did. And this is pretty much what I just explained. So polarity manifestation would be that experience where we are creating from what we know. We are creating what's next from what we are used to, you see. So we're essentially creating the future from the past. From that experience of, I was disappointed in that experience. Now you're creating that emotion to flow, the disappointment emotion. And then you're like, go for your job interview, but you remember what happened at the last job interview, which you didn't get. And, you find yourself in that, I hope I get that job. But you're in the disappointment flow of energy. And then the next moment you find that you don't get the job. So you didn't align yourself to that job because you aligned yourself to an experience that you believe, that your subconscious believes is the truth of what you need to experience. You see, the image representation of what is true within the belief system. And this comes down to, you know, what you also describe in your course. That's the ego aspect. It doesn't trust you, you know. I don't trust you, because why should we get that new job? Because, you know, this appointment, that's the safe option. You know,
we've already done it. We should stay there.
So yeah, it comes back to that. This is why I love your course, because it resonates with everything that comes through in the sessions that we do. And essentially that is what the collective higher self referred to as polarity manifestation, is you are placing yourself in a familiar emotion and then rolling with that energy and creating from there. Now, the neutral manifestation is really interesting as well. That is pretty much what I just spoke about, you know, being in the moment with your cup of tea. But there's another aspect to neutral manifestation that you can actually put into practice that is also helpful. But it's quite hard sometimes to start with that neutral, that piece of the practice. And that is when you want to manifest something, say, or align yourself with something, like I want to align myself coming to the next summit. So when you want to align yourself with something, take both polarities, worst case, best case scenario. You've got worst case, best case scenario. But look at both at the same validity, because your higher self knows what is going to be best for you in that situation, what's going to be the most optimal experience for you in that moment. So with the neutral manifestations, so you see both as valid, which is basically applying unconditional love to both, which is neutral. So you're
because
giving
they have
them
to
both
be,
the
if they're not in a
sovereignty,
position of neutrality, though, if they're not in neutrality, and you push them into duality, and you say, okay, this one's better and this one's worse, then what's the word for it? You create tension between the two. And when there's tension, you can't travel from one to the other. You need them to be neutral. You need the elevator to line up with the floor. It's got to be neutral. It's got to be even. If it's halfway up, you can't get on. You have to have that neutrality balance.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, what we have talked about before with telekinesis as well. It's once again, and what we have spoken about just when we started off with this conversation, is giving the sovereignty to both, giving the power back to both. So you're like, oh, both of you guys are equally great, you know, so let's integrate. And that is the neutrality of it. And that is giving the sovereignty back to the worst case scenario as well, as being valid, but then being able to be transcended and elevated into the position where you want to be. And then getting that representation of going to the summit. But you have to be very, very neutral in that practice. And, you know, us being human, we do find ourselves to go back
not being neutral.
Yeah. So it takes practice. But
getting caught up in the play.
I have to say the easiest tool, I have to say, is, you know, my cup of tea. Because when I'm just with the cup of tea or just with the moment, that is when I find these unexpected manifestations coming up. You know, like I've explained to you before, you know, just randomly talking about wanting to go to the hairdresser, and then the next moment a friend of mine is like, oh, here you go, here's a freebie for you. You know, those are and I find when you get those unexpected manifestations is because you're aligning with your energy as often as you can, and flowing with the experience of whatever you're feeling in the moment, whether it is a good emotion or a bad emotion, I could say.
Yeah. So then, okay, let's talk about those kinds of manifestations, because there's very intentional manifestations where people set out to create a specific thing and they visualize it and they set it up and they, I know people that have manifested the exact house that they've wanted. I know people that have manifested that has all of the things that they set out to have, and they're able to find it and it comes to them.
Yeah.
So there's that intentional kind of manifestation, or manifesting you want to create the opportunity to go on a trip to the summit, or but these are very intentional manifestations. And then there's the manifestations that are like the ones you just talked about, where you have the casual desire and then the universe just gives it to you.
Yeah.
And I've referred to these as the small gifts from the universe. But let's talk more about those or instant manifestations, whatever you want to call them, where you just have the desire or the thought, you don't put much energy into it, you're not really worried about it, you just, the thought or idea or desire gets expressed and then left alone on accident, and then the universe just creates it.
Yeah, I would say those manifestations happen especially with regards to non-resistance and non-attachment. So you might have the thoughts, but you're in a space where you're flowing with your energy, and in the next moment that thought comes into reality. And the reason that when it comes into reality is because there was no real attachment to it, or there was no resistance at all. Where I think we sometimes yeah.
Can you talk about how attachment creates resistance?
So yeah, I would say that attachment creates resistance because we are seeing an expectation and a specific outcome. This is how it must be. So it is like, when you do intentional creation or intentional manifestation or alignment towards a specific thing, like, for example, like me wanting to manifest the new house that I wanted so badly. That didn't happen because I was too attached to the idea. But look what happened when I released that resistance. I came onto this beautiful journey across the country, visited, these ancient ruins and stone circles this last week. And, it's like the higher self is like, ooh, you're not getting that because we've got something better for you, but let's see if you can release control of that, and release that attachment to it. And the moment I did, this is when everything just started flowing, everything into place,
So the attachment creates like a restriction. It's like when you grab onto whatever part of reality you're trying to create.
Yeah.
When you latch onto it and grab it, if maybe this is a visualization that comes to mind, is like the garden hose that I used in RCP. But when you grab onto it, you squeeze it so tightly, you cut off all of the flow for it to even come in.
Yeah.
Or, I forget which exactly this comes from, but they're just saying, I believe it may be among the Buddhist philosophy, but I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly where I found this, but it's the statement of don't pull, don't push. Because if you push something away from you, you're creating resistance and tension, and the tension wants to come towards you once you've pushed it away. If you pull it
Yeah.
towards you, you pull it in, then the tension wants to take it away from you. And the farther you pull it in, it's like a swing. You've created tension from its default position by pulling it towards you. And therefore, now it wants to go away from you back to its default, and which will even take it farther away. It'll swing all the way to the other side, farther away. If you push it away,
exactly.
something you don't want, you're trying to get rid of it from your life, you push it away, it's tensioned back to its default, which is going to bring it even closer to you. And so instead, recognizing that the mechanism to work with here is not pushing or pulling or having any kind of attachment to the thing, leave it in its default position. In other words, leave it alone and move yourself.
Yeah.
Change the vibration of yourself.
Take yourself out of the way.
Because you can move yourself around without any pushback and back and forth. You can move yourself around, but if you try to grab the thing outside of you and move it, you're going to create tension, which is going to go the other way.
Exactly. And, that is where expectation comes in. Expectation is a frequency of polarity, pretty much. Because if you focus on the specific expectation, it's supposed to be like this, it's meant to be this way, this way, this way, this way, no other way, then you are limiting yourself. And this is why there will be resistance into getting that. But if you are sitting yourself in a, right, so this is what I want, but have no attachment to it, that's when it just comes in really quickly. And I see this as well with so many of my hypnotherapy clients as well. They would go and research everything they can on the subject of quantum hypnosis and discover experiences of others, and then come for a session and be like, but I need to experience that. And then they find themselves not connecting at all. It's because they created that resistance, which is the expectation of something that was not meant for them. And, what I mean by not meant for them is we can put that into our own individual
We can say, oh,
experiences.
that's the experience I have to have. And because we're not able to have that experience, we block ourselves from having any experience, including the one we were supposed to have.
Exactly.
And this is a bit of a tangent, but I'm gonna bring it up to you because I think it's relevant. Within the subject of sharing a lot of the spiritual or conscious or meditation experiences that we have. Of course, we all love to share those stories. We love to share them with other people that understand those stories. And that's a great thing. And sharing the things that we experience in practicing different modalities or different meditations can be very beneficial because it a lot of times contains very valuable information to share. But a lot of times I lean towards just sharing the things I learned from it rather than the story of the experience. Because one thing I see just happening a lot is people hear about other people's experiences. And someone I was talking to recently seems to have just like constantly talking about wanting to experience some of these transcendent experiences in meditation or different past life modalities or these explorations in consciousness, and really wanting to experience the same cool stories that other people do, and yet being unable to. The same thing that you just shared. And I see a little bit of a epidemic in the spiritual community of people who are living that, where they've heard about these things, they're aware to a certain extent. And now they want to have an experience like that other person had. They can't have an experience at all now because they're wanting it for the sake of the cool experience rather than genuinely going after the healing and the growth.
Yeah.
And walking into it open-minded to experience whatever they need to experience. And so somewhere in the back of their mind, there's the expectation and then, oh, I want to have that cool experience. And I think this actually creates a certain amount of harm for people on a spiritual path, getting stuck trying to live out other people's experiences. So I think that it's a general thought that we should be cautious how much we share or in what way we share the cool experiences we have and focus more on what we learned from it.
Exactly. Yes. Because
what we learned from
it's
what's valuable. And what you learned from it, you can share with someone else and they can go on and have their own experience and learn what they need to learn. If the focus is on learning and the self-growth rather than on, oh yeah, I went to the astral plane and I did this cool thing. Well, what did it benefit you?
What did you learn from it?
What are you able to bring back to the actual reality? And that's where all this becomes very real anyways. You can have any experience in the world, but does it change you? Things become real when they affect change on you because you're what's real.
Yes. Exactly. Beautifully said.
I mean, that's a little bit of a side tangent point, but
but it's so relevant because it was like pretty much what I spoke about earlier. The experience was, I'm just going to make it very, very normal now, twisting my ankle. But what did I learn from it? I learned that I had to rest and reflect and make decisions, you see. And now in rest, reflect, and making decisions, if that is the lesson, that someone needs to go through, they can have their own experience in that. And it doesn't have to necessarily be physical, but it can be astral as well. And we have that in our dreams. Sometimes we have these random dreams that show up. Everybody has these experiences on all levels, physical and astral, mental, emotional, spiritual. But if we can start looking at what is this trying to show me? What is this trying to teach me? What is the lesson that is being shown to me or that I need to learn? Then you can start having your own experience from there. So that's very relevant. And I'm so happy you brought that up.
Yeah. I think expectations are something to talk about on so many levels of reality because the grabbing onto the expectations that I need to have this type of thing leads to so many breakdowns in so many areas of life. In fact, just to name a few, manifestation, if you have, you can break the manifestation process. You can pull yourself out of flow and being able to have a meditation that's beneficial. You can break the flow in a relationship, having expectations of the other person. And expectations, the need to have things a certain way, and then it basically begins to create little boxes that then reality has to conform to, otherwise it's not going to add up to what you say is successful, which leads to feeling let down. And you can do these things all day long in so many different areas of life. It applies. And so this leads around to one of the other topics I wanted to talk about today, which was how manifestation relates to literally every area of life. Because if you learn these skills necessary for manifestation, you begin to tap into the ability to flow, the ability to see more clearly your choices and the energetic voting that happens when you make choices. Like, where does your energy then go? And that, what does that manifest? So you begin to be able to see trace the line of events between cause and effect and the experience. And you begin to nuance in on all of the different areas of life, from relationships to business, and the practices of learning to maintain that center point balance, what you were talking about earlier, that constant state of being all in right now, focused on the present moment, immersed in the present experience, is the point at which things manifest. Living in that, if you can get into that and stay in that flow state, you'll see changes everywhere in your reality, life, business, relationships, opportunities. The list goes on and is endless. So learning the art of manifestation, learning to utilize it, almost becomes a lifestyle that has nothing to do with manifestation.
Exactly.
And everything to do with just, it's a way of being that manifests your ideal state and then supports it through what comes to you in the external world. So it's less about manifesting the things, the opportunities, the relationships, or, the business, or, less about creating all of those things, and more about manifesting the internal state you want to be at, and having the tools to maintain your energy, your emotions, your mind, your spiritual energy, your consciousness, your body in tune with how you want to feel, and having the tools to keep yourself in tune with how you want to feel, regardless of what's happening outside. And, some of you on my channels have heard me talk about, you guys have heard me talk about the starseed energy, or you guys have heard me talk with the Ashtar command and the concept of being a commander, being the concept of being in command of your own energy field. So when you are commanding your own energy field, and you are making those conscious choices, and you're aware of your own energy to a higher level, you set that resonance then. And if you are so in control of your own internal energy field that it's going to be what you want it to be, regardless of what anyone else is saying or doing, or regardless of what's happening in your reality around you, then you gain the control over the inputs. See, your energy field has inputs. And a lot of times, anything that gets input into our perception or our experience, we react to it. And we give that part of our experience control over that much of our energy. But if you have control over the totality of your energy, then all of the things that are opposing vibrations, if you will, if they can no longer gain access to your energy, they begin to fade from your reality. And the only thing that can remain is that which is harmonized with the state of energy you're holding yourself. So holding yourself in that energy becomes the most important part. And then the kicker on this that's blowing my mind at the moment while we sit here is that it has nothing to do with manifestation, and just everything to do with how you want to feel. And manifestation is a byproduct of being how you want to feel.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I wanted to talk specifically about emotions, because this is what creates our realities. It's not the thought creates the reality, it's the feeling that creates the reality. We say so often,
this is true.
Our thoughts create our reality. It's not true. It's our feelings that are creating our reality. It is how we choose to experience the feelings that we have. And if we are experiencing a feeling that we term as bad, if you're fully allowing yourself to acknowledge that experience, because if you don't, it's gonna come up again until you do.
It's going to
So
keep
why
coming
don't you
back
just
as
feel it?
bad until
Why
you.
don't you just allow?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And stop
Until you
labeling. We have to
allow
stop
it to be
labeling.
what it is. Yeah. Yes,
We
exactly.
have to stop labeling the good and
If you
bad so
just
much and
allow
just
whatever
accept what is,
you're
like you said.
feeling to be what it is, yeah, then you can use those emotions to the fullest capacity. Because when you do, that is when you flow with your energy. And this is what I love about the Nantuckans, because they always say, remember to flow like water.
Mhm. Flow
And
like
this is
water.
essentially what water represents. It's the image representation of flowing with your energy. That's what water is in our reality. And that's why it's so good for us to have water as well. Everything comes together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you froze.
Everything really does. Everything really
Are
does.
you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did we glitch out? Technical difficulties.
Okay.
Yep, you're back. I see you now.
You broke up for a second. Mhm.
No worries. So then,
Yeah.
what are the other
Did you
things
hear what I
wanted
said?
Yeah, I heard everything you said. Like your audio didn't break. Your video froze for a moment, but your audio didn't break.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, perfect.
One of the other things I wanted to mention while we were on here was some of the concepts surrounding the instant manifestation. I wanted to circle back to talk about that a little more. And also, I wanted to talk about your work with quantum hypnosis modalities, and just the amount of work that we did together, because in the couple of sessions that we did together, and then what happened after that, because we're talking about becoming more aware of different aspects of the human consciousness, right? And how that changes and shifts what you're able to manifest and how. So in some of the work that we did together, we did a lot of healing that expanded the energy of my being into new layers of my consciousness, particularly those surrounded by traumas in childhood. And what I've noticed after that was not only that there were so many healing benefits that came through that, but in so many of the things that I had been working to manifest, the door got opened to a deeper level of those manifestations shortly after we did that work together. So the healing work, the reprogramming that we can do with quantum modalities in consciousness, shifted massive amounts in what I would perceive as my ability to manifest in the external reality. It's like it opened a new level or a layer to it, which is really, really cool. And
but there's
guys,
just one thing I want to add, just for the people who are watching, is what Josiah and I are talking about is hypnosis.
mm-hmm.
But many people think hypnosis is something that you go into to go under and change your state of being. But essentially, I just want people to know that hypnosis is heightened perception. And many people feel like they won't remember anything when they go into these sessions. But it is very, very common for you to remember everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want people to know that hypnosis as we know it, or I like to call it heightened perception, is not about the level of depth of trance. It is not about that at all, because many people usually say, it feels like I didn't go deep enough. It's not about that. It's all about the level of allowance. When you are doing these sessions, how allowing are you to allow yourself to receive the benefits of the session? So it's not about depth at all. It's not about, I haven't gone deep enough into theta state. I haven't gone deep enough into gamma state. It's about how deeply are you allowing the experience for yourself. I just wanted to mention that.
Mhm.
This is a
Yeah.
big misconception with hypnosis.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. How
And you'll
deeply?
be able to relate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's amazing. So, and then, someone just actually dropped this in the chat, but it's very fitting. They said, how do you remove subconscious self-sabotage? And let's talk about sabotage and the manifestation journey, because that's something that most definitely happens when we try to create something and we sabotage ourselves out of our manifestation. And there's so many examples of sabotage that come in, not even relating to manifestation. And this is something that, as you know, Lee, we work extensively on, with several modules dedicated to the sabotage patterns in the reality creation process. What insights would you bring out immediately to reference the sabotage patterns?
Well, immediately I would go back to what I just said earlier. It is it's the same frequency as resistance. So why is there a resistance in you to create whatever that is that you want to create, and why are you then sabotaging yourself to be able to create that? So it's a very similar frequency. Well, I would say it's the same frequency as resistance. So I would say, ask yourself the question, what are you resisting? Are you feeling like you are resisting an experience due to someone else's expectation? Are you feeling like you're resisting the experience because you think you're not good enough? Are you resisting the experience because you feel like you don't deserve it? What is the base emotion there? What is the sabotage all about? What do you really feel in the moment you are sabotaging? Go into that feeling. Ask yourself, so what am I feeling? And usually when you sabotage, it's because you're not feeling worthy. It usually goes back
Almost
to that
always.
emotion. Almost always. And so it's about self-worth. It's about then rather thinking in the capacity of how can I change that for myself? How can I bring that into my current reality so that I can focus on that and change or elevate that emotion into a frequency that is, more of a desire for me to experience. And that comes back to, beautiful practices such as Ho'oponopono, like you have described in your course as well. Courses like yours is a very, very good practice that you can use to bring yourself out of that frequency of sabotage or out of not being worthy. That is acknowledging the fact that you think that in the first place, and that it is okay, and that it has helped you in so many ways for so many times. But what about if we can change it now? I always what I do usually with my aspects that are acting in non-self-worth or non-love or self-love or something like that, I speak to it like I would speak to a child, in a very compassionate tone. It's almost like I like to create this vision of, say you have a child and the child wants to take part in whatever activities is happening that day, but the child feels afraid of, say, the swimming pool. you as a parent for that child, this is how I see myself speaking to my ego sometimes, or to that aspect of myself, is you can always say to that aspect of yourself, but what if it's really fun? Don't you think you're going to miss out on a really, really fun day if you don't allow yourself to just try? So
give yourself a
it's
little
kind
fear
of
of
like,
missing out.
yeah, it's kind of like, taking a little like roundabout with my ego, or with that aspect in me, and just allowing it to feel that excitement of what it could be. That helps elevate that emotion as well. I mean, I just want to mention to everyone, if you ever are looking for a tool to help you out of this kind of experiences and bring yourself into a more desired frequency, is the reality creation process. I absolutely love what you did, Josiah, because it resonates so close to A Course in Miracles. It resonates so close to what I've always felt in my heart with regards to affirmations. I just never ever could resonate with affirmations for some reason. And ultimately, when I did step into my healthy self, it wasn't because of an affirmation, it was because of a conscious choice. And this is what I love. This is what I love about the reality creation process. It's about creating those conscious choices and actually walking the walk, and talking the talk.
You got to do the full spectrum.
So, yeah.
All of it.
So
walk it, talk it,
exactly.
see it, live it, be it.
So, yeah. So if you're finding yourself in a pattern that you want to change, there are many tools. There are many tools available, and the reality creation process, I would say, is the most updated version, most current time experience that you will find everything that you're looking for in creating that life you love, like Josiah always says.
I appreciate that, Lee, and I'm really glad that you've found so much value in it. I wanted to actually share, in relation to the sabotage, just a brief bit from the reality creation process on the what is a sabotage, because one of the interesting things here is it turns out not a sabotage at all. It turns out that the part of you that comes back to sabotage yourself is actually a part of you that has a very different story, that usually goes back to way further on, early life, so many times. But in short, I talk about this for probably nearly an hour in the course, but the 5-minute version is that your consciousness experienced something, some negatively polarized event, whether that be a trauma, abuse, just a lie, something that isn't of the full truth, that told you you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you don't deserve, something along those lines. Whether that was told to you directly or whether that was implied to you, your consciousness is confronted with something that is showing you this evidence that says you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you don't deserve. In order to survive that, because that's an attack on the truth of your consciousness, which is whole. In order to survive that lie, your consciousness creates a structure within itself, or what we call an identity, or in the course, I call it a system of consciousness. You create a part of yourself that believes, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, because that's the part of you strong enough to hold yourself together under the weight of that negative experience. Once this is completed and life goes on, you live within that and are unaware that you created that deep-seated belief to help you survive. But remember, it was to help you survive the original trauma event. And so you get on down the road later on in life, you're trying to create something new. And that part of you that believes that lie comes back to enforce it. It has to. And that's the vibration it was created in. And it will continue to do that until you tell that part of you that you've healed from that, you've moved on from it, and you thank that part of you for being the part of you that handled that negative event. Until you let it know, until you let that part of yourself know that its mission is complete, and then it can move on to do something different, it's going to keep running that same vibration, which is the vibration of the negative events, the trauma. So when you go to create something else, when you go to step into a reality where you do deserve something, you have a part of you that was created to handle a reality that you don't deserve it. And that part of you believes you don't deserve it. And that part of you doesn't know if it can exist in a new reality where you do deserve. Because it might not be needed there. It might not be needed. That part of you that believes it doesn't deserve may no longer be needed if you actually succeed in going to the reality where you do deserve it. If you go there, it might no longer be needed. It might die. So when you try to go there to the reality where you do deserve, this part of you, and it goes way deeper than this part of you comes out with the fears, the anxieties, of the sabotage moves. And if you ignore it, you try to silence that part of you, you tell it to go away, you try to shut up that part of your mind that has the fear, it only gets bigger. And the farther into that new reality where you are worthy that you're stepping into, the louder that part of you gets. And the more you try to silence it, the more violent it is justified in becoming, because you're trying to get rid of a part of yourself. It's part of you. You can't get rid of it. That's soul suicide. You'll never get it done. It's actually impossible. But the more you try to get rid of it, the more you get because that's still alive. The way it stays alive is by being. So it will then begin to attack. That part of you will begin to sabotage and attack your plans to move into a reality where you are worthy. Not because it wants to attack it, but because by nature of its own existence as part of you, it has to stay alive. And if you're going to do something that makes it die, it's authorized to do something to stay alive. If you're going to get rid of it so that you can go into a new reality where you are worthy, it has to stay alive, because one of the baseline things in consciousness is stay alive. And so until you can approach that part of you that believes in the unworthiness that was created to handle the unworthy negative trauma event, till you can approach that part of you with gratitude, with love, with gratitude for the fact that you handled that negative trauma, with love and appreciation for the fact that there's a part of you living inside the belief system that thinks it's not worthy, and it's strong enough to survive that, and then communicate to that part of you and let it know that, hey, its mission is complete. You indeed survived that negative trauma event from the past, and now you've made it to a point where you can do what you were always supposed to do, which is create something in the future where you are worthy. And now you're inviting the part of you that handled that in the past to come with you, to take a break and take a rest for the first time in probably forever, and to come with you to enjoy the new reality where you are worthy. And you can approach all of that with gratitude, love, yes, appreciation. And you can neutralize that tension between the part of you that is terrified of the reality where you are worthy, because it grew up and was programmed and created inside of a reality that told you you weren't, even though that was a lie. So balancing that, and that's what we do extensively in the reality creation process, is we balance those things. And when we can balance them, we can see that it's no longer a sabotage pattern. It's just you doing what you were supposed to do, and that part of you doing what it was supposed to do. When we can no longer look at it as a negative, we can bring things into resolution, and we can allow the internal parts of ourself to communicate and to get comfortable. And the parts of you that are all worried about living in a life where you are deserving and where you are worthy of whatever it is you're manifesting, when those parts of you can be comfortable and we can walk them home, like you said at the beginning, Lee, walking these parts of ourselves home into the reality where we are worthy, where we do deserve, instead of trying to shove those parts of ourselves out because they're getting in the way, we think they're getting in the way, and they're sabotaging us from getting where we want to go, but rather getting all of our internal parts of ourselves on board and communicating with ourselves to the level at which we can actually understand. And the parts of you that are afraid can understand they're not going to die, that they do get to live in worthiness, even though they were created in unworthiness. Once you do that, you can eliminate so much of the sabotage back and forth, or you take a few steps forward and then you knock yourself back. You can bring it all the way around to where when you step forward, you keep stepping forward and you flow forward. And all the internal parts of you that would have in the past been very much afraid about flowing forward into something new, you have some tools to actually communicate with those parts of yourself and bring them forward into that life that you love. So for everything that I do with the reality creation process, it's all about creating a life you love. Lee mentioned this earlier. It's about creating a life you love. And creating that life you love is a life that all parts of you love. All parts of you. And all parts of you deserve to go home into that life that you love. And I see that as a huge part of manifestation is in bringing that neutralization in and resolving the war within our own consciousness. And the war is so often surrounding one part of ourselves that says, oh, you don't deserve that. You're not good enough for that. And the other part of you that says, well, I want to manifest that. I do want to manifest, and I do want to be living a life I love. And the other part of you that says, no, you don't deserve to live a life that you love. Who do you think you are? Recognizing how and when that part of you got created, it got created to handle a reality that told you that. And, you know, that negative trauma event that said you're not worthy, you're not good enough. Recognizing that and acting within non-judgment for yourself to call all parts of self home. Real quick, if that has interested you guys and you want to know more about how to resolve that tension within self, please do check out the reality creation process. If you go to the link in my bio for Manifest 2023, if you're watching online, or if you head to the reality creation process website or click any of the links for Manifest 2023, you'll find also links to the reality creation process course. And if you use the code, all caps, Manifest 2023, you can get 50% off the reality creation process for this month, the whole course. Yes. And the first month of the coaching program with it. Check that out if you feel like this information has been helpful. And then also, please make sure you check out these information on her links as well. If you're on the Spirit Connect community, you can go to her bio and you can find her links. If you're on TikTok, quantumshift_Lee. And Lee, you just dropped out of the Zoom. I'm not sure what happened. But definitely check out her work and what she's done, because she's got some awesome resources, and sessions with her, one-on-one sessions with her, are absolutely phenomenal. You can still see me on TikTok or on Zoom. I see you on TikTok, but not on Zoom.
Can you hear me? Yeah, the Zoom just stopped. What
Yeah,
happened?
I can hear you on TikTok, not on Zoom. You're no longer in the Zoom call.
I'm joining back in. I don't know why it ended.
No worries.
Okay.
But do check out Lee's session, guys. Her one-on-one quantum hypnosis sessions are absolutely worth it. Life-changing in just a few hours. Life-changing.
What I love about the experience too is just the aha moments that you have following sessions.
The aha moments are so huge.
There we go. Back on Zoom.
There you go. You made it back. Yeah, the aha moments are absolutely incredible. So I wanted to mention a couple more things to just make sure we touched on everything that you had wanted to touch on in regards to manifestation. Do you have any further insights you wanted to share with everyone?
I think we covered quite a bit tonight.
We have.
I think the most important part I feel is the emotions is we're so used to deny our emotions or push them aside and not feel them. But if you really allow yourself to feel those emotions and use them as a tool, this is where you step into that beautiful architect of your reality. Because this is, I feel, a space of unconditional love that you enter for every aspect within yourself. Just like you explained now with the RCP course, is you're bringing everything in. We are so used to pushing everything out, dismissing those emotions, getting rid of it, destroying it. I've heard people say, I want to destroy that part of myself. But when we do that, we are literally separating or fragmenting ourselves even further. So
Yes.
if you bring in all these experiences, these feelings, this is when you start creating those feelings into a creator aspect of yourself.
Yes.
I mean,
and this is hugely importantly, because if you try to get rid of any part of yourself, like you said, you fragment your own soul more. And if you look at the causes of traumas, if you look at the impacting consciousness of traumas, negatively polarized events, they create fractures, and the fractures are what generate the sabotage patterns. They generate all of the things that we're trying to heal. And so healing needs to bring it all back together and bring it into wholeness. But if your idea of healing is to take a part of you and try to get rid of it, then you are creating something that's less than whole. And so bringing it all together, creating that wholeness and not further fracturing and fragmenting consciousness is what we need to be doing. And that helps with healing. It helps with manifestation. It helps with just every area of life.
And how beautiful, just as you're explaining that, is the wholeness aspect. That is essentially what the term healing is. It is remembering that you're whole, remembering your wholeness, because we're still complete. And in the beings that we're still that beautiful light energy, that source energy, that love energy, and nothing in that energy can be incomplete at all. So
absolutely,
I
think that's a good wrap-up note. The wholeness. I think that's a good ending point.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's what we're doing here. We are not broken. You're not broken.
You're whole.
We're just in a perspective that we think we are.
Perceptual alignment into the position where it feels like and looks like, and the external reality can be reinforcing the idea that you're broken. But connecting back into that wholeness is where all of it unravels, and it comes out to be quite simple
Exactly.
indeed.
And, you know, when you find yourself in that flow of energy, of allowing that wholeness of you to just be, this is when things happen, you know, like this experience we're having now, Manifest 2023, RCP, my new modality, you know, in hypnosis, my frequencies, you know, it is all, this is where you start creating something new, creating something that is completely unique to your experience and to everyone else's around you, you know?
Yep. It's showing up
that
in your
is
authenticity to be who you were meant to be. That's what begins to happen.
Yes, exactly.
I'm here for it.
Completely.
Totally.
Yeah. Same.
We've got a month worth of this manifesting marathon to tackle. So we'll be doing one more with Lee later on. And then you'll be on the panel tomorrow as well, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome.
Meeting. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it. And this has been so amazing, so much fun. Thank you so much, Lee, for joining me on this. I hope we'll see you again in a couple of weeks on here again and during the second part of Manifest 2023. And then I hope to also see you, and I'm going to drop this in here, a little tidbit for everybody. Then Manifest 2023 is the first of 3 marathons. The next one is going to be Mindset 2023. It's going to be a mindset marathon, followed by Motivation 2023, which is a motivational marathon. Because if you combined the art of manifestation, which touches so many things as we talked about in just today, just the first couple hours of this, if you take everything from the art of manifestation, you combine it with the art of steering the mindset and combine it with the power of motivational energy, you get full spectrum creator, which we're going to talk about more later. But guys, check out the reality creation process if what you heard today was beneficial, because we dive into a lot of these topics in depth and then spend each week with a group helping each other hold these alignments and aligning ourselves with what we want to create. Check out Lee's work. You can find her at Quantum Shift Lee on TikTok. You can find her in the Spirit Connect community. If you're watching this on a replay, her links will be included below the replay as well. So I love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lee. Love you. Big hugs. Thank you for being on this event. And we'll talk more soon.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone on TikTok as well for all the beautiful gifts and likes and shares. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Josiah.
Thank you, Lee. Take care. Everyone have a wonderful day. Bye. All right. I have ended the TikTok live or the YouTube live stream. TikTok farewell. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. You guys are absolutely amazing. Sorry about the echoes for some people on there. I know some people were saying it was echoing and some weren't, but you guys are awesome. If you want to follow along and make sure you don't miss the rest of Manifest 2023 happening every day this month, go to the links in my bio or the links in Lee's bio. I'm pretty sure she has it on there. Click for Manifest 2023. You'll be taken to the Spirit Connect community platform. That's where this event's being hosted. Spirit Connect is an organization that I am part of, which puts on holistic spiritual consciousness expansion events all around the world. So check out what they're doing. There's going to be an event happening in Asheville, North Carolina in February. You don't want to miss if you're in that region. But yes, I hope to see you in the community, because in the Spirit Connect community, in addition to the Manifest 2023 marathon that's happening, there's also a Lightworker circle in the Lightworkers Circle, we do weekly meditations, a lot of other cool things. And there are a bunch of amazing people that you want to get connected with. Also in that community, you can get connected directly with Lee and anyone else that's going to be on Manifest 2023, have direct access to them, be able to message or comment, chat, etc. I believe one of the big principles here is to create a space for community to connect and talk and share and have discussions like these so that we can learn from each other. And so that's what this is all about. Please come be part of it. Love you guys.
Love you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye. Bye, guys.
All right. Ended TikTok and now we're just here on Zoom.
Cool.
Awesome.
So it's just you
Just
and
us
I
now.
now.
Just you and I.
Okay. Cool. That was really cool. That was nice.
That was fun. I got a message from Mariah just now
Yeah?
as we finish. She says,
So I can have a smart now, yeah?
yeah, and I gotta go take a quick pee break.
Okay. Do you want to stop the recording?
No, oh yeah, actually, let's do that.
I'm also gonna die.